Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. As you're coming in, make sure that your name appears in Zoom the way that you would like it to. If you're comfortable, please feel free to turn your cameras on so that we can see each other's faces. And as you know, just keeping yourselves muted until you're ready to speak. Give people maybe another minute and then we'll get started. All right, well, if people filter in, great. Good morning again. I'm Hallie Kuttner. I'm going to be moderating our school spotlight session today. I'm very excited. We have the team from the John F. Kennedy Academy of Inquiry with us. Principal Sandy Smith, second and third grade math teacher Julissa Lizarraga, and second and third grade reading teacher Michelle Lampkin. John F. Kennedy Academy of Inquiry serves 370 pre-K to third grade students in the South Mountain community of Phoenix, Arizona. They utilize a multi-age model focused on inquiry learning. Teams of content area specialists collaborate to deliver personalized instruction for all students. So I'm going to turn it over to the team from JFK.
Hi, thank you for joining us today. We are from John F. Kennedy Academy of Inquiry. Next. My name is Sandy Smith and I am the principal. With me today are two of our teachers, Ms. Michelle Lampkin, who is our second and third grade, one of our second and third grade reading teachers, Ms. Julissa Lizarraga, who is one of our second and third grade math teachers. And Ms. Lizarraga was also one of our teacher candidates from ASU, and she graduated from ASU a year and a half ago. Next. Today, we're going to tell you about who we are, the students we serve, our school's design principles, and Julissa will be telling you more about teaming and distributed expertise. Michelle will be talking to you about deeper and personalized learning and how that relates to student interest and needs in our inquiry-based learning model. Next, who are we? Next. So our mission is John F. Kennedy is collectively committed to all students learning at high levels. And our vision, John F. Kennedy has a culture where all students succeed. The key words in both our mission and our vision for us is the word all students. Next. We are located in South Phoenix, Arizona, and we are part of the Roosevelt School District. We are a Title I school with approximately 380 students in grades pre-K through third grade. Our population is 88% Hispanic and 32% of our student population are English language learners. Our district had an idea that they wanted to do signature schools, and with signature schools, they wanted to engage students to focus on student achievement. They wanted to improve the pipeline from elementary school to high school to college into careers. They also wanted to share and personalize learning experiences in our school communities. We wanted to ensure that students participated in meaningful learning activities, and we wanted to increase our student enrollment. So with that said, we knew we needed to make some changes. What we were doing wasn't working, and with the pandemic, we knew that our students were starting to fall farther behind. So the traditional one teacher, one classroom model wasn't showing us the results that we were looking for. So after attending a next generation workforce meeting with ASU and learning about the different teaching models, I brought back the idea of inquiry-based learning to our school leadership and to one of our district executive team members. So from there, we were able to work with ASU to create a model that we're going to share with you today. So we have multi-grade level cohorts. Our teachers share rosters, and each of our teachers will either teach reading or math as their core subject. So we want to build student skills while also planting the seed for the love of learning. In 2021, we began planning and meeting with our learning cabinet, our teachers, our students, our parents, and community members to design our school of inquiry. It was important for us that we not only heard from our teachers and our students, but that we involved our parents and our community members because we wanted to know from them what was important. So together we came up with 4 design principles for our school. So our first design principle is authentic work. It's in project and inquiry-based learning, and we focus on meaningful work and real-world experiences, and students seek advice from experts, and from there, they share and present what they've learned with our community. Collaborative design is our second principle. It gives our students a chance to have flexible learning spaces while encouraging our students to also be problem solvers and to collaborate with each other. This also gives our teachers a chance to collaborate across their disciplines. Personalization is our third principle. Learning is personalized for students, and students have ownership of their learning. We have an emphasis on creativity and the opportunity to celebrate their growth. And our last one is the whole child. We wanted to build relationships with all of our students and teach them about growth mindset, mutual respect, and put an emphasis on personal and community identity and values. Next. So next, I'm going to pass it over to Miss Jalissa Lizarraga, and she's going to tell you about teaming.
All right, so let's dig into how we approach teaming at John F. Kennedy. Within our teams, there are 2 teachers who focus on math and 2 teachers who focus on ELA. Having teachers become content area expert allows our teachers to dive into their content area and master the skills they need to teach our students. Next. In this picture, we see how the kindergarten and the first grade team look like. So there's 2 cohorts per grade band of approximately 95 students in each cohort. Each of these 2 cohort is supported by 9 professional educators, 4 teachers per cohort, and 1 shared special needs educator. For the core subjects of ELA and math, we have 4 content experts in ELA and 4 in math. Numbers vary for the Mary Lou Fulton Teacher College interns by semester. Community educators, which we'll talk about later as well, are community members who bring in relevant experiences to our students. These adults vary by unit. Next. Here we see our 2nd and 3rd grade team. 2 cohorts per grade band of approximately 90 students in cohort A and about 72 students in cohort B. Each of these 2 cohorts is supported by 8 professional educators, 4 educators in cohort A, 3 teachers in cohort B, and 1 shared special needs educator. For the core subjects of ELA and math, we have 3 content experts in ELA, 3 content experts in math, and 1 teacher who teaches ELA and math. Again, numbers vary for our Mary Lou Fulton Teacher College interns, and the community members, or the community educators, vary by unit and may be shared across grade levels. Next. Here we see John F. Kennedy as a whole community. All of the adults from the special area teachers to the Mary Lou Fulton Teacher College interns support our community. Here we see the art teacher, music, library, and PE educators, paraprofessionals, social workers, and instructional coach who support our campus, our students as a whole. Next. Distributed expertise. Here we split it into content experts and shared rosters. What are content experts? They are the teachers who become content area experts either in math or reading. This allows us to really focus on that skill we need to teach our students. For shared rosters, the way we share or split our rosters is based on student data and we have received from STAR testing and student assessment. We share rosters for ELA, math, and our Wonder Time. ELA and math are based more on their academic needs, and Wonder Time is based more on their interest. Next. Roles of different educators. Teachers are strategically distributed based on their expertise. Each team has these roles. Some examples are as follows. We have a media expert, someone who is knowledgeable in using media such as our iPads. We are a school that is one-to-one, so each student has their iPad. So we can support students with their technology. This person also supports with podcast recording in our green room. Someone who is bilingual. Our staff reflects the community. Therefore, each team has someone who is bilingual and helps communicate with families. And our community educators. Our goal is to bring in community educators that will bring in valuable and relevant connections with our units and enforce our learning goals. Next. Team collaboration. Working as a team requires meeting times, and here is a glimpse of how we split that time. So we look at data collection. Teams look at data from students' STAR test results and create intervention groups in which students need our support. We also have instructional time. Each team meets for 45 minutes each day to plan out what our week will look like for math, reading, and wonder time. Professional development. We work on professional development. It might be that our Apple representative will come and teach us new skills to implement in our classrooms. Also, we have our leadership teams present information that they have studied. So we have our culture cabinet that focuses on the social emotional needs of our students, and the learning cabinet focuses on instructional decisions. Next. Mary Lou Fulton Teacher College interns at John F. Kennedy. As previously mentioned, I am a recent grad from the Mary Lou Fulton Teachers College program, and my experience was very similar to how our teacher candidates support us now. They support us with small group, they help us with intervention groups. Mary Lou Fulton Teacher College interns also support during the whole group instruction while observing mentor teachers and their strategies. The Mary Lou Fulton teacher interns are a great asset to our teams due to the support they bring to teachers. Now we're going to pass it to Ms. Lampkin so she can talk about deeper and personalized learning.
Thank you, Ms. Lizarraga. When we talk about deeper learning, we're talking about learning beyond standardized testing. It is the skills students would need to become learners for a lifetime. We all learn by using different modalities and acquire knowledge at different rates. Our students are given the opportunity to learn at their own pace using their own multiple intelligences as based on their experiences. Next slide, please. In the following slides, I'm going to give you a closer look at how Kennedy is promoting more personalized and deeper learning by using the bullet points listed. Next slide, please. What does shared rostering look like? There are several ways to share students. Our team chose to use our student STAR math assessments to roster students based on their math scores. After students were grouped by their math needs, within our shared rosters, we subgroup students based on their needs and their skills. Science and social studies are the subjects we are using to explore inquiry-based learning units. Our current unit, Changemakers, is divided into 3 categories: inventors, activists, and altruists. We used our reading curriculum to explore people who have changed lives and improved the quality of life in our world. Then we asked the students to select 2 people they would like to learn about, which allows for continued personal student control over their choices. Next slide, please. As you can see in the slide, all 3 educators were asked to choose a category to become an expert in that subject matter. By becoming experts within our projects, we promoted deeper learning from our students. The students then provided the educators with 1 or 2 choices to place them into groups. The culminating project for our unit was to be a change maker in our community. Students got to nominate and vote for their favorite project. The 2 projects chosen by our students were collecting items for our local food pantry and making knotted blankets for the NICU and other children in need. Next slide, please. Students are encouraged to explore real-world situations, challenges, and to acquire better problem-solving skills along the way. The students then have an opportunity to become experts in their inquiry-based learning environment. I'm going to share a story with you about one of our students and one of our teachers in our cohorts. One of our first grade teachers has a student with special needs. He doesn't always show growth in math and reading, but when he gets, that opportunity to go to his Wonder Time room, he becomes extremely excited and engaged. He appears to flourish. When information about the solar system was given in an auditory format, he was able to retain that information and assist his classmates in their project. It gives him the sense of feeling successful in school, whereas maybe he doesn't feel as successful with reading and math. Also part of our inquiry-based learning is our community educators. Our students took on the roles as zookeepers, and the driving question or the essential question was, what is the role of a habitat in meeting an organism's basic need? During their investigation, students were asked to become zookeepers, and in real life, we had a zookeeper come and visit us via Zoom. In our live Zoom meeting, it allowed students an opportunity for real-time experiences with an actual zoo curator, and they got to ask questions and he answered them for the students. Next slide, please. This next slide provides an insight into social emotional learning. On a daily basis, the first 30 minutes of school is spent in SEL with the students in our homeroom class. That's my opportunity to connect with my students. I like to use the mood meter and check their moods, ask about, personal things like soccer games and dance practice and things that they're interested in, but they also get to ask questions of me as well. Once a week for 40 minutes, our social worker engages the students in social stories. This allows the students to experience issues like bullying, learning empathy, and developing school etiquette in a safe and a productive learning environment. Ms. Smith, you're next, and can you advance the slide, please, for her? She's going to talk about the benefits and challenges.
So with starting anything new, there comes benefits and challenges, and we have faced both. So I'm going to talk to you about staffing. Coming into this, I was very open and honest with our staff from last year. And I told them what this model was going to look like. I knew that this model was not going to be something that everybody would enjoy or that everybody would want to teach in. So I asked them if this wasn't their thing to please come and talk to me, because we wanted to make sure that we started off with a staff that was devoted and was willing to do this work that we were going to need to put in. So after I had our staff that was willing to do this work, my admin team and we sat down and we listed all of our teachers' strengths and weaknesses. And from there, we were able to put our K1 and our 2-3 teams together. So the team that's meeting with you today is part of our 2-3 triad, and we are missing one of them. She's in class still working with our kiddos, but Miss Lampkin is one of our veteran teachers here. And Ms. Lampkin is well-versed in standards, and she has exceptional classroom management. Ms. Lizarraga is just in her second year of teaching, but we've learned that she is also exceptional with her standards, and she has the knack for technology, and she's our bilingual speaker on the team. And Ms. Unger was new to us. This was her first year teaching, so we didn't really know what to expect from her. But as the year has gone on, we have found out that she is amazing with technology as well. And she also has a knack for finding resources for her team. So putting all of them together has made one of our strongest teams on campus. Now, not every team is necessarily as strong as this team is here, and there are challenges. We do have teams that at times have issues with one person on the team, or they have disagreements, and then I do have to step in and we work those out. But one of our agreements as a staff is that if they're not feeling heard or we're seeing somebody shut down, that we make a point to talk to each other. And so it doesn't go and it doesn't fester into something bigger. So we really try to address any issues as soon as we see them pop up, or teachers will come and talk to me and we can have a group meeting and bring us all back together. Ms. Lampkin's going to talk to you about scheduling.
One of the benefits of having this model was that I got to specialize in one subject. I didn't have to be a novice here or novice there. I got to dive deeper into reading, phonics, grammar, so that I can better present information to my students. Another benefit was teaming with others so that I wasn't just a one-man island. I can go to my other cohorts and team with their reading teachers and work with them as well. One of the challenges, though, as far as scheduling was concerned, was we had to make time for the inquiry-based learning, and we had to do it within our school day. Also, you'd have to use your school schedule, personal schedule, and try to figure that out. But the benefits of inquiry-based learning were phenomenal for our students. And we got to practice our skills that we had learned in an environment that was not as threatening as an academic environment. So they love that. And they do flourish with those activities, with those skills. Mrs. Lizarraga, you're next.
All right, I'm going to talk about how we prepared for this team teaching model. So teaching as a team in a teaching environment, team teaching environment requires plenty of communication between the educators and the supporting staff who come into our classroom and support our students. We have to keep a consistency among our classrooms so all of our students know the expectation and routines coming in from one classroom to the other. As far as the teaming model, I think here are some pros that we have seen. So for teachers, this model has alleviated stress with planning since we only have to focus on that one content area and we can bounce back ideas from the other cohort. So it's not like I just have to plan for math. I can meet with the other cohort and see what they're doing in their math. And that way we can keep that consistency among the campus as well. And also, I think this has supported a lot of the student-teacher relationships because there is a constant move of our students. Now, they don't have to see the same adult all day. That alleviates and may reduce a lot of the tension between student and teacher relationships. That's what we've seen over this past year. And now I'm going to pass it on to Ms. Smith so she can talk about what comes next.
So what comes next for us? Next. When we originally started our signature school to be an inquiry-based school, we created a 5-year plan. So some of these are part of our 5-year plan. We're already working on deeper and personalized learning, but we more specifically would like to work on voice and choice with our kinder and first graders. Our 2-3 teachers have really put that into action this year, and our K1 is slowly going into that with the little ones and not really experiencing school before. This has been new for them, so we're moving a little bit slower, but we definitely want to give our little ones more choice. We are also working on our next generation spaces. We'll be having a small renovation done to our school, and this will allow us to have flexible learning environments, not only within our classroom spaces, but also in our outside spaces as well. So we'll be able to have outside learning opportunities. We're going to continue to work on our inquiry-based learning. Students are sharing and reflecting and capturing their ideas on their learning, and they're sharing them within their classrooms, but we eventually would like to move out of our classrooms and be able to share those ideas with our community and eventually on a global scale. And our last one is in our year 4 and 5, we'd like to add lead teachers to our cohorts. So our K1 and our 2-3 cohort would each have a lead teacher. That teacher would still be responsible for teaching a core subject area, but then would have a little more freedom to move about and help with planning and other needs that come up throughout the day. Thank you so much for joining us. Next, Are there any questions that you have for us?
I know I have a question, trying to give everyone else time too. So if I was reading the diagram correctly of what the school looks like, so is there one special education teacher that covers K through third? And then, so what does that look like? What does that person's role look like in teaming, and then like instructionally?
Yeah, so Mr. Ramos is our ESS teacher, and he is one of the most phenomenal ESS teachers that I have ever met. He does have a pretty large caseload, but he somehow seems to manage it all. And then when we have our planning sessions, they're usually after school. So he is able to spend some time with one group, and then he goes and he splits himself with the other group. So he'll spend an hour with K1, and then he'll go spend an hour with 2-3. And the teams know when he's going to kind of join them. So when he's there, they make sure that they address any needs that they need of him when he's there. And it's not something most people could do, but we're really fortunate, and he's phenomenal and is able to be a one-man show.
It's amazing. I was also curious, so I know some of the challenges you mentioned were around obviously just the shift, and having people kind of adjust to what their new roles were, teaming, like these are things you probably foresaw were going to be challenges. I was curious if there were any obstacles that surprised any of you. So was there something that you weren't expecting was going to be something that you'd have to overcome as a team that came up in this big shift, really?
I think something that I don't know, it was kind of like a shock to me was like the learning gaps, like, like that COVID really hurt our students, and like how we're trying to close in those learning gaps. And sometimes it's kind of hard because we focus a lot on grouping them with their reading scores, but when they come to math, it's like some are really good at math or like succeed in math, and some have a harder time, but they're like at the same reading level kind of thing. So like really, how can we use our time like very wisely and use our students to also support each other? Because like what I tell them too is like, maybe you didn't understand it from me, but if a peer teaches it to you, like they sometimes understand better than when I explain it. So it was like a shock to me, like how much COVID really affected our students in terms of the learning, and how much we are really trying to close those learning gaps. And also like with intervention time, like how can we, it goes back to scheduling, like how can we use best of our time wisely to support those students that really, really are like falling through the cracks and falling behind.
And then for me, and I think this kind of might answer some of Jonathan's question that he wrote in the chat. When we originally started, I have 4 teams all together, and my K1 team, I have 4 teachers, and on one of our other K1 teams, we only had 3 teachers, and we continued to get kindergartner after kindergartner enrolling, which for us is so exciting. And, we welcomed that, but our classes were getting extremely large. The one benefit of the teaming model is we're able to kind of share the students a little more and disperse them a little more. So it's not one teacher is so heavy in all the students. But we're also fortunate that our district saw the need for another teacher and was able to give us that other teacher. So as far as staffing, to answer Jonathan's question, probably, I think not necessarily this year, but potentially next year coming up. If we have anybody that's planning on leaving, it's finding that right person that's going to fit into our school. It's not just going to be anybody is going to be the right fit. you have to be okay with sharing rosters, and it's not just my class and my kids, it's our class and our kids. So that's, I think that could potentially be a challenge. We are super fortunate. We've had a lot of great ASU student candidates, teacher candidates, and we were able to hire our teacher candidates. So they already know our model. So if we do have anybody leave, we're hoping that we'll be able to hire them on because they love our model and they enjoy teaching in it. But if it ever comes to a point where we don't have teacher candidates, I could see that being a challenge.
That's super helpful. And one other question I had was, what's the ratio to new teacher to veteran teacher at y'all's campus?
Yeah, so we have this year, actually, our new teacher that we had to hire on for that open position, she was one of our student teachers that we moved into that position. So she's brand new. She just graduated in January. And then we have another teacher who just graduated last year, so like a full year ago. We have Miss Lizaraga, who's on with us now, that graduated a year and a half ago, and then one other teacher that graduated 2 years ago. So those, we have 4 newbies, if you look at it that way, within 2 years, but everybody else is considered a veteran teacher here. And we've been together for years.
And then like last question, do y'all have like a mentorship program between, like, since you have like 4 new teachers on the campus, which is relatively low compared to most schools in that situation. So it's really awesome. Do you guys utilize any like internal mentorship or so like peer leadership within the school model, or do you rely mainly on like the teacher preparation program for the teacher coming in? Like, how does professional learning occur within this model?
Yeah. And again, we've been super fortunate, except for one of our teachers. They've gone through this. Well, actually, all 4 of our new teachers have gone through ASU, so they're all a little familiar with it. But really only one of them was not familiar with this model. So they didn't need as much training in the beginning. Miss Unger did, and she's partnered with Michelle and Jalissa. But really, we rely on our veteran teachers, and honestly, even Jalissa, to just kind of mentor them. And I am so fortunate to have the staff that I have, and they just kind of take them under their wings and do that on their own without even being asked. But we also have our instructional coach that meets with them to go over, the little things like the grading and, all the things that you never learn in teacher school, but you need to know to be a teacher. So our coach meets with them once a month to go over those basic newbie things. But otherwise, our staff is just amazing and welcoming, and they just kind of take it on and mentor them. But like I said, I'm fortunate to have the staff I have, and I know that's not the situation all the time.
That's really cool. Thank you all for sharing.
And I think along those lines then, so from your experiences, if someone is starting, let's say day 1, and they would like to start shifting their school to this type of inquiry-based model and teaming model, where would you suggest that they start? So if I have a school that's not quite as fortunate as yours with all the experience, where do you think it's important for us to start, either with like learning with one another, resources, where would you suggest?
So I think the first thing that you have to do is, I was really open and honest with my staff from the beginning, and trying to share what the model could potentially look like. And I already knew there was people that this wouldn't work for. So some people I had private conversations with, but I also had conversations with the whole staff to tell them what this was going to be about, and that I understood that some of them, this would not be something that they were interested in. So I told them I would write them letters of recommendation. I would help, get them into a different school in our district, because I didn't want them to feel that they weren't wanted. But we also knew they wouldn't be a good fit, and I knew they wouldn't be a good fit. So that was the first and foremost, because I don't think you can just roll this in if your team doesn't have buy-in into it. And so we did lose a few teachers, but the majority of our staff were excited because they understood we needed a change, and they were willing to try something new. So yes, the people to get on the bus, exactly. And we have the right people on the bus, Jonathan, exactly. And that's what that has to be your first step. You have to have the right people on the bus. And then from there, hope you have a really great college like ASU close by that will help you build this program. I can't even tell you how many hours. I almost wish that I've logged how many hours I've worked with different people from ASU to help build this program, because without them, I would have probably been lost. I have weekly meetings with my ASU mentor, I guess you can call her. And then our teachers have monthly meetings with other schools in Arizona who are going through the same process, and where they meet and share and they talk. And we also go to Summer Institute that ASU puts on, and that's been extremely helpful, especially for our teachers learning how to work together in a totally different model, and learning what it's going to be like to team, and learning that there's going to be issues within your team and how to kind of work those out. We really couldn't have done this without ASU. They've really been a huge support.
So can I ask financially, for the extra summer work and the additional meetings and such, are the teachers compensated for that? Or is it more you've got the people who are excited about this and therefore they're willing to kind of volunteer a little extra time to learn more about this process?
It's a little of both, but I will say last year we were fortunate and we did have the funds to pay teachers through Summer Institute for ASU. This year, unfortunately, we do not have the funds to pay them. And I actually just let them know this week that I didn't have the funds to pay them, but that we did want to still participate in the ASU Summer Institute. And I was able to it's called 301 here. It's an extra payout that the teachers can get if they have a certain amount of hours. And so our district approved that going to these courses could be part of their 301. So that's how they'll be compensated. But I'll be honest, I would say probably more than half of my teachers would give away part of their 4 days over their summer to come to this. Because they think they've really bought into this, and they want to know more. They want to continue learning. Not everybody, and that's okay. I mean, I need a break too. I understand that. But I would say, again, like Jonathan said, we have the right people on the bus, and they're willing to do that. But I'm fortunate with the staff I have. I couldn't be any more blessed than what I am. But you have to be creative. Right? What was that?
I said, I'm guessing none of y'all want to share your teachers, right?
No.
Okay.
But you do have to be creative, and like the 301 was are you in Arizona? Okay. So 301 was a great way to be able to still pay them. Even though I couldn't pay them. We had huge cuts to our Title I budget, which is what we paid them from last year. So it's just really getting creative and using all of our hours that we can use for trainings.
I was curious, I hadn't heard it come up. Does intervisitation play into all of this? So do you have teachers visiting one another within the school to observe like certain practices, whether it's like with planning or instruction? And then I guess in a non-COVID world, do you get to do that type of visitation with other schools doing the same process as well?
Yeah, so that's visiting other teachers within our campus is something we have talked about and we would love to do. Unfortunately, with COVID, we are fortunate to have a rescue sub that's on our campus almost every day, but we've had people out almost every day and it hasn't been consistent. So it's hard to plan something like that, to know that we'll have our rescue sub available to push into the classrooms. But it's something our rescue sub and I have talked about, something our leadership and I have talked about. We just haven't had that experience to be able to do that. I, as the principal, have been able at the end of last year to go to Sparks in the Kyrene School District and see what that looked like. I haven't had an opportunity. There have been opportunities, but I haven't had the opportunity to leave my campus to go look at a couple of the other schools. But some of the other principals and I, a couple of the principals and I in Mesa have talked like, oh, that would be great to be able to go. We just haven't been able to get that done yet with staffing and COVID.
We have about 5 minutes left. If anyone has any other questions, I know I would love to hear from all three of you what the biggest delight has been from this process. So what's the greatest joy that's been brought from making this huge shift in your school?
So for me, the biggest thing that I have taken away and that I come to work and I enjoy seeing on a day-to-day is, so I'm the math teacher, and I know, like, from my personal experience, I wasn't that good at math. I was shut down in math when it was time to do math. And we were seeing that students were doing the same thing here, you know, like when they were struggling with their timetables or addition or whatnot. And I started incorporating projects into math lessons. So like we did like measurement robots, and then we also did like a city of arrays. Like we've looked at different things. They got to apply their division and multiplication skills into a farmer's market. So like real world application that they will, you know, in the future use. And they were so excited just seeing the excitement in our students that like math doesn't have to just be like paper, pencil, and like I'm not good at math and I'm going to shut down. So just kind of seeing them, how excited they get about when they produce their projects and their authentic work is super exciting to see our students. And then at the end of the day, it's like, it's so nice to know that they look forward to our Wonder Time, because we all come together and it doesn't matter what their academic needs are. We all come together as a whole. And we're like, okay, we're doing this project together. Like, for example, my Wonder Time group, we're doing the NICU blankets. They're super excited. We were very fortunate that Joanne's donated a bunch of fabric. So when they saw all the fabric that we got, they were like, oh my gosh, Miss Al. So just seeing just the excitement in their eyes and seeing like how excited they're about coming to school is just amazing. Like, this is like what we're here for, like for them to love learning and always be like lifelong learners. So that has just been like super duper exciting for me.
And then for me, I'm the reading teacher, so a lot of kids, they do struggle with reading, but it has given me more creative ways. And like I said, we've incorporated even more projects within the classroom to acquire those skills for reading, grammar, phonics, and things like that. But like I said, my best time and the stuff that I like is when we're in Wonder Time and they get a choice at how they would like to present their projects. We just did a project on weather, and just to watch them, pretend that they're, weather forecasters, and they're giving their weather reports. They had to give their weather facts to stay safe in either severe thunderstorms, blizzards, tornadoes, things like that. So to watch them, and you can tell who they watch on the news, and they, got to record themselves and their partners, and just some of the little things that they did. I mean, they were excited about it, but they learned the information, they did the research. They also made sure that they were able to, give that information back, whether it was video, whether it was in writing, or whatever they chose to do as a student to show that they were learning. So that to me was the most exciting part for me.
And for me, of course, everything the teachers just said, seeing that light in the kids' eyes, but I also get the opportunity to see the light in our teachers' eyes, in our paras' eyes, in our custodial staff, and everyone is just so bought into this, and the excitement that they have after a hard day sometimes, because some of our days are real rough this year. It's great they'll send me pictures and say, look what the kids did today. And for me, that's what makes my principal heart happy.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Michelle and Sandy and Julissa. It was wonderful to hear all of the great work you're doing. If you don't mind just throwing your email addresses into the chat, I'm sure that everyone here would love to be able to follow up with you. In just a minute, we are going to close out the room. There's going to be about a 5-minute transition period. There's no formal break, so you can just go back to the agenda and then pop on for the summit closing. And then that's pretty much it. So thank you all so much for joining us. And again, thank you so much to the John F. Kennedy team and for sharing your great work. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, ladies, for being our moderators. We appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.
Yes,
You
thank
too.
Bye.
Visiting soon.
Yeah, come anytime.
Come on over.
Lisa's got my contact info, so come on.
Awesome. Thanks
All right.
again.
Bye.
Take care.